evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Scientist Rant. I'm your host Saptarshi, and I'm going to talk about one of the greatest scientists of all times. If a student was asked to measure the height of this tall building using a barometer, how would he do it? Well, he could just drop the barometer from the top of the building and record the time from the drop to the time when he hears the sound of it breaking. Then he could just calculate the height. Or he could just give the barometer to someone in return of telling him the height of the building. If a student wrote these answers in his exam, he would surely get a mark of 0. But Niels Bohr wrote these exact same answers in his university exam and convinced his professor to give him full credit for his answers. When asked why did he write such answers in his exam, he replied that he was fed up with college professors trying to teach him how to think. He finally won the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1922. Bohr was born in Copenhagen, Denmark in 1885. From a very young childhood, Bohr was fascinated by the world of science. He grew up at a time of important scientific discoveries and surrounded by famous scientists such as Avogadro, Volta, Robert Boyle. But most importantly, his love for science came from his father, who worked at the University of Copenhagen, Denmark. And later, during his career, he worked with famous scientists such as Heisenberg and Einstein. Some of the major contributions of Niels Bohr are the Bohr model of the atom, which states that electrons travel around discrete orbits around the atom's nucleus. He also contributed towards explaining Mendeleev's periodic table, which is right behind me, and also did work in line spectra. Bohr also worked on the correspondence principle, which is the basic tool of old quantum physics. Along with the correspondence principle, Bohr also worked on the principle of complementary. Niels Bohr also worked on many military projects, for example the Manhattan Project, and served as an advisor for the Tube Alloy Project. It's Halloween night, the sky is dark black, and there are a lot of zombies here. I'm really afraid. Well, Bohr also got into a lot of trouble throughout his career. He wanted to disclose atomic bomb secrets to the Soviets, and when he said this to President Roosevelt and Prime Minister Winston Churchill of Britain, he was treated as a national security threat. Today, almost 100 years after the introduction of the Bohr model, it is still taught in high schools. There are thousands of bills with Niels Bohr's picture on them, and asteroid 3948 is named after him. The names of the elements, borium and hafnium, are named after Niels Bohr. Today, almost 100 years after he was born, Niels Bohr is still remembered as one of the greatest scientists who revolutionized the entire world.